Hey guys, how you doing? You want a surprise One Piece chapter before the end of the year? I'm game, Oda! Bring it on! Bring it! Hit me with your best shot, Oda! Hey, you just never know about the release schedule for manga this time of year. You know, sometimes you get lucky and one more chapter gets squeezed out before year's end. Not always, though. I seem to remember back when I was reviewing Bleach back in the earlier days, this happened quite a bit where the last chapter of the year came out like the day before New Year's Eve or even on New Year's Eve. But I think the last few years, if I'm remembering correctly, you had to wait until after New Year's. And in fact, you know, not to get everybody too excited here, but double-edged sword, you're still going to have to wait another 2 weeks to get the next chapter, so dang nabbit. But hey, we got one more chapter for the year's end. 2018 is done in 2 days, and I know a lot of people, it's this time of year when you go around and you read on social media like, oh man, 2018, it was such a meat grinder, all this stuff sucked, all these people died, all this horrible stuff happened, and you know, it's usually a lot of negativity around this time of year, like, oh man, this year sucked, I hope next year is better. So I'm gonna try to spread the positivity a little bit here. Comment below, and you don't have to be really specific, but comment below at least one positive thing that happened this year. I guarantee everybody has to have one, alright? You know, it doesn't have to be something big, like mine, if I was gonna pick one, is probably that I got my bachelor's degree, but it doesn't have to be that major. It could be like, oh, I bought Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and it was a really good game. I really enjoyed it. Like, okay, great, that's something, right? That's something to be positive about. Also, I quit my job at Dollar Tree, and I started cooking a lot more, so who knows, maybe someday if the YouTube thing doesn't work out, I can follow in Sanji's footsteps and become a gourmet chef. But as for right now, though, we are of course talking about One Piece, chapter 929. That worked out perfectly, Oda, you know what you're doing. What's it titled this week? It's titled, Shogun of Wano Country, Kurozumi Orochi! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about, you know? It's like, hey, if you're gonna squeeze out one more chapter before the gates of 2018 close and then lock for an eternity, at least make it a big one. Because last chapter, I mean, it was okay and everything. We got to see Komurasaki and all that stuff, but I think this is the headlining event. This is the thing we were all waiting for. Like, what does the Shogun look like? Is he a grizzled, gray-haired, badass samurai that can slice down entire armies at the drop of a hat? Or is he just a tiny little doofus? Well, if you've read this chapter, as I have already, you know the answer to that. But let's just try to keep it a mystery for the small, select group that decide to watch my videos before reading the chapter. Or those that didn't even know there was a chapter today and see this uploaded and you're like, alright, let's just roll with it. Okay, so we start off, though, with a bang. We got a pretty badass color spread here, featuring all the Straw Hats as ninja. Whoa! Actually, wait a second, hold on. I could do the hand sign for the Kagebushi no Jutsu. I've been practicing for a while now. Yeah, nailed it. But of course, Oda and Kishimoto know each other quite well, Kishimoto being the mangaka of Naruto. They were friends and rivals for a long time while Naruto was still running, so expect a few references to that sprinkled into the Wano arc, because ninjas are a thing. In the color spread, you got Sanji flinging shuriken, you got Chopper floating around on a handkerchief, you got Zoro whipping out a Kusarigama. He's not about to lasso a cow. He's like, no, this is the Kusarigama, you know, the sickle and the chain thing. But then, of course, you have the two lovely ladies of the Straw Hat crew, Robin and Nami, sporting very traditional ninja-based weaponry. You got Robin dual-wielding flintlock pistols, and you have Nami rocking a minigun. I'll be honest with you, I gotta go back and check my history into feudal Japan because I didn't know they had access to minigun technology. That is actually something I didn't know. In fact, if you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking, according to the time frame here, ninjas probably invented miniguns. Makes me wonder why ninjas weren't the ruling class of all of feudal Japan if they had access to that technology, you know? Alright, well, whatever. Oda depicted it, so it's gotta be true, right? Okay, so, yes, we find out about the Shogun in this chapter, so we actually start off over on Frankie, or Franosuke's side, where he's meeting with his boss. Remember, at the beginning of the Wano arc, we see him working for a tiny little dude. He's got nails shoved up his nose. This is somebody that's actually kind of like a gag character that Oda created, and he's actually been seen a few times in early One Piece. Not quite on the same level as like Panda Man, but he's one of those kind of gag characters, right? He actually originated in an SBS. One of the people asked Oda, like, hey, remember back at the very beginning of the series when Higuma bust open, you know, the Makino's bar? I think it was called like Party's Bar or whatever. And then in the next scene, the door was fixed, and it was a continuity error. That's what it was. But somebody asked Oda the question, and he's like, oh yeah, no, there's that was because of the traveling carpenter named Minatomo. Yeah, Minatomo. He comes in and he just, whenever he sees a door off its hinges, he can't help himself. He's got to fix it immediately. And since then, we've seen Minatomo every now and then in the manga, sort of in the background. I think we saw him in the Drum Island arc briefly. So yeah, but finally Oda decided, hey, why not make him a actual canon character? It's a little bit confusing because apparently Minatomo travels all over the world. Like, he's in the East Blue, he's in the first half of the Grand Line, and now here he is in Wano. So I would just, you know, assume he's been living here his whole life, and everybody else is just like his identical twin brothers or something. If we ever have time, I'll do a video talking about various gag characters, like Panda Man is the obvious one. Also Sam. I'm gonna have to talk about Sam at some point. We'll find out more about him. But no, anyway, Franosuke is meeting Minatomo, and Minatomo's basically scolding him. He's like, oh, dang nabbit, Franosuke, you can't just be sneaking off during the workday to ogle some beautiful woman, even if she is the hottest girl in all of the lands and beyond. Of course, referring to Franosuke going off, having some soba at Sanji's stand, and then getting into a fight with the Yakuza, and then going to the courtesan parade. Apparently, he was doing all of this while he was supposed to be on the clock. And so Frankie is basically just apologizing to his sensei, so to speak. He's like, I'm sorry, man, she was just so cute. And he's like, I don't give a flying fish if she's cute, you know, I don't care. You might have the same amount of work ethic as 10 men put together, but that doesn't mean you could just skip out. There's your reputation at stake, Franosuke. Your reputation and your honor as a carpenter. So he's getting kind of chewed out there, but he's a good worker, so he's kind of forgiven. At this point, Frankie brings up the whole blueprints to Kaido's manor, and we find out, and it's like even in the title box here, Minatomo is the head of the carpenters on Wano that actually built Kaido's residence on Onigashima. So that was the whole point that he was supposed to be there. He's like, you know, work under this master carpenter and then get the schematics to Onigashima, so when we ever have, you know, the fire festival invasion, we'll be able to figure out where we're going and all that stuff. So I guess Franosuke, because he's been working for Minatomo for several weeks, I guess he got up the courage, or at least he figured out that a good time to ask him about the schematics. And he's like, oh, hey, master, yeah, I heard through the grapevine you built Kaido's manor. And Minatomo probably was like, oh, yeah, that was back in my early days. And I was like, oh, well, do you happen to have the schematics of that in a complete form, and maybe actually in triplicate? I just really want to analyze them because of carpentry, you know, I just want to learn about your skill, master. So Minatomo said, you know, oh, I don't know where they are, but I'll go and try to find them for you. So here, we're finding the end of that conversation. Minatomo brings up, he's like, oh yeah, you asked me about the schematics. And Franosuke's like, oh yeah, hey, do you got them? And he's like, nah, I actually just remembered I pawned them like 10 years ago. And Frankie gets pissed at this because he's like, you mean the horizon? I was working under this nail-huffing dude for like at least 3 or 4 weeks, probably over a month. He's like, the only reason I subjected myself to that was to get the blueprints, which you don't even have. So they end up getting in a brawl, like Frankie and Minatomo are just like, yeah, and Frankie gets serious. He busts out the rocket launcher in this fight. There's just a big explosion and everyone in the streets like, oh, the carpenters are fighting again. Isn't it a little bit more intense than usual? Is there usually that much smoke and fire? I'm like, they're carpenters, they can fix it. You know? So eventually Minatomo just gets pissed at Frankie, just like, get out of here, you're fired! And Frankie's like, fine, whatever, I quit. And he just like throws it. He doesn't have a hard hat, but if he did have a hard hat, he'd throw it on the ground and he barges off. So this actually starts kind of a comedic routine. I think every cartoon has at least done this once. I know Ed and Eddie did it. There's probably a few others that have done it. There's the premise of a cartoon where it's like, I need to get something from somebody else, and you go to one, it's like, oh, I think this person has it. Actually, I gave it to that person. No, I think this person might have seen it last. I think I gave it to that person for Christmas. And so the entire episode is just going from person to person to person to person, and the thing that they're trying to get usually doesn't manifest at the end of it anyway, or it's some kind of MacGuffin. That's what this chapter is with Frankie. Frankie rushes over to the pawn shop and he's like, hey, do you guys have these blueprints? And he's like, blueprints? Oh yeah, I remember those things. This guy in these apartment buildings bought them. Oh, okay. Hey, do you have those blueprints? Oh yeah, I was low on my rent one month, and my landlord took them. He lives over here. And he's like, oh, okay, fine. Hey, landlord, do you have the blueprints? Actually, I gave them to my favorite courtesan in all of Wano. You gave the schematics of one of the 4 emperors of the sea's castle to a prostitute. She gave me a wicked BJ then. Oh, whatever, I don't care. And Frankie hauls ass over to the prostitute. He's like, do you have the... And so finally this whole thing leads to a guy named Camel, not the animal. His actual name is Camel. And they eventually find out that they don't know the exact location of the blueprints, but they're somewhere in Curry. They're somewhere in that lawless land of Curry. And so Frankie, he's just done with the whole thing. He's been rushing all over the flower capital. The dude lost his job. It's been a tough day for old Cutty Flam here, right? So he finally calls up Kinemon, and he's like, hey, Kinemon, sorry, hold on, let me catch my breath a little bit here. Gotta drink some cola. Look, all right, look, I've been all over town, and apparently the blueprints are somewhere in Curry. I don't know what else to do here. And Kinemon's like, oh, I'm so sorry we put you through this. It's cool. Go and seek out a different target. Go try to find another way where you can help out the plan. Go work with somebody else or something. Maybe Frankie and Usopp can team up, you know? Maybe, oh, that would actually work out perfectly. I could see it now, you know? Like, you could have, you could have Frankie walk out with like a kimono or a yukata or something on, and Usopp could be like, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to present the sword-proof yukata that I invented. And he takes a katana and he whacks Frankie with it, and the sword just gets destroyed because Frankie's made of steel, but the crowd would think, oh, it's because of the yukata, give me 30, please, at once. They would be great for battle, you know, something like that. So yeah, Frankie and Usopp could team up. There could be some comedy elements involved in that. But yeah, Frankie's telling Kinemon, like, I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere in Curry. And Kinemon's like, all right, don't worry about it. We'll try to find it. But man, that was funny. That's hilarious because these are extremely valuable blueprints. This would be like if the schematics to the White House somehow were just like these really highly detailed schematics that had all the secret rooms and the underground tunnels, which you know are there. And they had all these really important like schematics for the White House that the general public isn't supposed to have, and they're just floating around Washington D.C. It's just like, oh, the schematics. Yeah, I gave them to Dave down at the bar, and he's like, hey, Dave, where are they at? I'm like, oh, I lost them in a poker game to my best friend, Dan. I'm like, okay, Dan, where are they at? Like, well, I gave them to my childhood sweetheart, Lily. She's a prostitute. I'm like, okay, fine. And they go over to, you know, just like some random, eventually it ends up some random homeless person living under a bridge in Washington, D.C. had these highly detailed schematics to the White House. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. It's probably going to be somebody relevant. It's probably either going to be, I mean, somewhere in Curry, it could be Shuten Maru. It could have been maybe Genjiro or, you know, one of the other guys. Like, who was the other dude? The guy that was the serial killer kind of guy. Kawamatsu or something, I think that was his name, could have been in their hands somewhere. They grabbed them up. Maybe because, like, oh, they saw something for how, you know, useful this might be. Like, oh, this random person just happens to have the schematics to Onigashima. Give them to me, I'll take them. And so I'm sure they're going to be resting somewhere safe. They're going to find the schematics. They're not just going to be, like, you know, in some random person's house. It's going to be someone significant that's going to have them. They might want something in return, though. That's the thing. So, cutting back over to Kinemon, we also see what's going on with Inuarashi and the other Minks. Carrot is there. Wanda is present in Wano, which, that is lovely. I don't think it was confirmed we saw, you know, Wanda before. She was, I think, in the background of one scene, but it wasn't clear because Inuarashi and his squad was there, but we didn't know for certain. But yeah, Wanda is there on Wano. And so what they're attempting to do is trying to get Shuten Maru to help out their cause, because they had that little fight at Head Mountain. between Itarashi and Shutenmaru, and Shutenmaru was basically like, I'm not just gonna bow my head just because you worshipped Odin. I mean, I respected the man too, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be his dog. I'm not a retainer. I'm getting the hell out of here. So Shutenmaru left. So they're gonna try to figure out some way to bring him over to their cause. So they're stealing all of the food and weapons as they can get their hands on. The Minks are. They're probably gonna distribute them to, you know, the less fortunate people in Wano, but they leave a calling card that basically says, hey, we stole all your food, sign the Mountain Bandits, Shutenmaru. So that's gonna piss off the Beast Pirates even more. They're gonna go after Shutenmaru. Wherever Shutenmaru is hiding, somewhere in the mountains, the Beast Pirates might show up, and like the headliners or one of the Calamities might show up and just wreck their hideout, and then they have no choice but to team up with the group in order to fight back against the Beast Pirates. That's what they're trying for here. So yeah, calling card though. I got to make my Persona 5 reference. I've been playing it a lot the last few weeks, so if I make like a copious amount of Persona 5 references, I apologize for somebody that hasn't played the game yet, in which case, please play the game. It's amazing. By the way, best girl, Makoto, 100%. Nuclear motorcycle, and she's got a very attractive bike seat. Yeah, her seat is very attractive. So now we cut over to a different region of Wano altogether, the region of Kibi. And this is a new named location, but I think we've actually been here before. This is the vast wasteland that's like right next to Okabore Town and then the Flower Capital. So this is probably the same area where Luffy and Zoro ran into Hawkins and fought them at the beginning of the arc. But we see Zoro. Been a while since we've touched base with him. See Zoro walking along the wastelands of Kibi with his new traveling companion, a short, frumpy fellow by the name of Tono Yasu, or just simply Yasu, and he's a rather energetic little guy. He's just like, oh man, if I'm with you, mister, I won't be missing any meals. Man, this walk is so much fun. Are you having fun? I'm having fun. So basically, it's like if I was your traveling companion, if I was like a 55-year-old rosy-cheeked, you know, 4-foot-nothing old man. You know, that's basically Tono Yasu, right? And remember back when Zoro was on that ship and he was eating all the wasabi sushi and he's like, do you even have the money to pay for that? And Zoro didn't. Apparently it was Tono Yasu that covered his tab and then just started clinging to Zoro and started following him around. His title is Drum Carrier, so I don't know if this is referring to, like, is he like a drummer boy, like in battle, you know, like during the Civil War you'd have drummer boys come in, like the Revolution, or he carries people's stuff. I don't exactly know what his profession is, but he seems to be a resident of Okabore Town, and he's wearing an old, you know, tattered yukata, so it's like, yeah, he's probably not very well off. It seems to be that he noticed how strong Zoro was, and he's clinging to him so he can maybe get back home safely, because the wastelands and everything, probably very dangerous. You got wild animals running around, you got the headliners, you got the Beast Pirates. Maybe this Yasu couldn't get back home, he was afraid to, but then he runs into Zoro, this really badass samurai, and he's like, if I'll just stay with you, mister, everything will be fine, yeah! And he's doing this little dance, and Zoro's just kind of looking at him. He has a big jug of sake, and he's like, hey, look, man, I appreciate you covering my tab and everything back there, but can you just shut up a little bit, seriously? Like, dial it back a notch, bro. And Yasu's like, oh, you want me to be quiet? Oh, you care about the well-being of my throat. You don't want my throat to go out. Oh, man, you're so nice, mister. Oh, man, this is gonna be the start of a great friendship, isn't it? Zoro and Yasu taking on the world. So, okay, I mean, he seems like a pretty chipper little dude. I mean, I don't hate him, you know, typical Oda style, you know, unique design for him. So let's just go forward. Okay, Yasu, I'm on board with you, bro. Let's go. Let's do a little, kind of like Mamboshi, you know, like let's do a little mambo, you know, let's just, okay. So they're approaching Okabore Town, and he's like, oh, this is Okabore Town, a town with some character, if you know what I mean. So they're heading to that location. They're going to get back to the Flower Capital at some point. But, you know, Zoro, it's like, here's the Flower Capital, here's the mountain where they were staying. Zoro somehow ends up here, and then he gets a ship that takes him all the way, like, back around to, like, the wastelands of Kibi. All right. So now we get to the Flower Capital proper, and we cut over to Shogun Orochi's, like, his private quarters. And he's discussing some important matters with none other than the CP Aegis Zero. Yeah, the world government. Okay, this is a big one because of just how isolated Wano is. Now, we know Wano does do dealings with the outside world. Kaido is kind of proof of that. And also you have the whole thing where Sea Prism Stone is mined in Wano, so the government, you can lend it to believe there must be some sort of shady backroom deals going on here for the government to get so many, you know, so much, like, Sea Prism Stone on their hands. They can coat the bottom of their ships with it. They have Impel Down, which is just covered in Sea Prism. They have the Sea Prism Stone handcuffs everywhere. You'd think if the government could get their hands on that much of a material that is apparently very rare, that there must be some source that only the world government can privately get. And then, of course, you have Wano, which is the hotbed of Sea Prism Stone. That's where the material originates from, and that's where all the craftsmen are from. So I think everything's starting to click together now, you know what I mean? It's like Shogun Orochi comes out and says, all right, sure, I'll give the government... I'll give you guys some Sea Prism Stone if you help me out a little bit. So they're meeting with the Aegis Zero, and it's nobody that we've known, you know, yet. It's not like they're meeting with Lucci or Kaku. Those guys are still at Reverie. Two of the members of CP Aegis Zero we've actually seen before back at Dressrosa. It's these two individuals. Remember the last dude, the third dude with the flower on his head? That guy was actually at Reverie. We don't know who these people are yet. Spondum did have a similar bowler hat as this dude, but I don't think this is Spondum because he's way too threatening and intimidating to be just Spondum, right? So, and also there were the CP Aegis Zero that met Mother Caramel as well. They were different masks altogether because this was like 60 years ago. But yeah, it's those dudes, all right? So they're meeting with Orochi, and Orochi is basically calling the shots at this point. You know, whatever previous agreement that the government had with Wano is kind of different now because Doflamingo got taken out. And Doflamingo was kind of the mediator because he was a member of the warlords, so he was kind of dipping his hand in both the world government and the Marines and a third hand in Wano. That's how badass Doflamingo was, right? So Doflamingo's gone now, and so that really screwed everything up. I mean, Doflamingo was really like the keystone here. He was like the linchpin. You take that out and, you know, a bunch of things are happening all over the world that the Straw Hats probably never even considered, okay? So basically what's going on here with the Shogun is he's aware that he's basically got the world government by the family jewels right now, and he has no qualms about bossing the Aegis Zero around. He's basically like, hey, listen, I have a country under my thumb that is entirely self-sufficient. We do not need the world government at all. The people are all living happily, are they not? You know, all I desire, if it would be anything in this world, is just more power. And he mentions, last time we brokered a deal so I could get battleships on my side. And this was back when Doflamingo was still around, but Doflamingo's not in the picture anymore. So he's like, you know, last time we went with battleships, what do I want right now? What can I want that could further my power? Hey, I know. Give me Dr. Vegapunk. And of course the Aegis Zero are like, whoa, no, that's impossible. Orochi takes out a gun and boom, caps one of them right there in the freaking drawing room. Just bam! Now, the guy he shot didn't seem to be fazed by it at all. He was the taller dude, and his hat flew off, but it was more of just like a pong. You know, so it didn't seem to hurt him. But Orochi, you know, when you pull out a gun at a negotiation, you know, it's pretty much, and you just, like, point blank right there. I mean, you make your intentions known. And you know what? You know what? Orochi is going to turn out to be kind of an asshole. At this point, by the way, we also see the dragon heads coming off of him. So if that's going to be the case, because it's still all in silhouette, we don't see him actually transforming, but we do see the dragon heads emanating off him at this point. So there might still be some trickery involved, or the dragons, I just realized something else, other option, the dragons might be a lot goofier than they're supposedly looking. Like, what if, for example, Orochi really wanted a mythical zone like Kaido, but he couldn't get an actual mythical zone, so he had Caesar or somebody make him an artificial mythical zone, and so it turned out kind of like Momonosuke's, where he turns into a dragon that's sort of like, you know, tiny and cartoonish. What if Orochi's the same way? What if Orochi has the Yamato no Orochi fruit, but it's like really dorky dragon or snake heads come out, and they're like, derpity-dur, and they can't really do anything. Maybe it might be something like that. That's why Oda's keeping them in silhouette, if anything. But I don't think it's as intimidating as, like, the actual Yamato no Orochi, right? Now, I will say, Orochi is a villain in this arc, and he's going to be taken down, you know, removed from power at some point. So he's definitely not a good guy. I will say, however, it is cathartic as shit to finally see or hear someone speak these words. This is what Orochi says. He's like, celestial dragons, we do not fear them. You will never topple this country. I have Kaido, one of the 4 emperors, one of the strongest people, the strongest person in the world. Let's be honest here. He's a damn dragon, backing me. I'm not afraid of you government chumps. Today, tomorrow, or next Wednesday. I love that. I love that he comes out and says, celestial dragons, we do not fear them. How many other people in the world have the balls to say that, other than, like, Luffy and the other, like, prominent pirates, you know? Like, for someone to come out and being like, he knows exactly what the world government's capable of. He sees that, you know, all the things they have under their control, and the battleships and the marines and the Tenryubito that rule over all of them. They got the warlords. They have all of this, the CP just Zero. He doesn't even care. Now, you could say that that's maybe he's a little bit too complacent in his own position, because I would like to say, like, if the world government wanted to wipe off Wano out of the map, you know, all that would take as well. Wano apparently has some battleships too. I would say you could just buster call the island, but maybe you couldn't. That's the thing. And you got Kaido to worry about. You don't want to go shake the hornet's nest and just expect everything to be okay. So, maybe there's a little bit of complacence here. You know, Orochi's an arrogant psalm bitch, but at the same time, he's got some truth in his statement. He's like, I got a lot of power. I have an isolated nation. I have all these people that are super wicked strong under my employ. Yeah, you can't take this country down. Or it would be very, very difficult for you to try. But I dare you. So that was Orochi, basically, right? So with that being said, we then cut over to the grand banquet that Orochi is heading up. You know, it's a week before the Fire Festival. He, you know, dismisses the CPI Jashiro, puts on his great finery, his kimono, and then he gets carried off to his banquet hall. And this is really where we find out exactly what kind of guy he is. Both, you know, literally we get to see what he looks like and also his attitude, okay? He walks into the hall, and they're like, you know, Shogun, we have the finest chicken. And he's like, I'm not hungry for chicken. Very well, sir. We'll throw it out at once. We have the finest vegetables. Don't want them. Okay, sir. We have tuna. Oh, I love tuna. And mackerel. I love mackerel. Sake. Oh, give me that sake. What about the women? Oh, the women, sir. We brought some of the finest geishas in the land. And what about her? What about her? Ah, yes. The finest courtesan. The apex of prostitution in the pleasure district. Presenting Komurasaki. And she's there. And she's acting all like she's blushing. And she's all coy. And she's like, oh, hey there. I'm glad to meet you. You know, Shogun Orochi. Tee-hee. And then we finally get to see Orochi, and yeah, he's not the imposing figure I originally assumed of. You know, this was my original image of Orochi. Like, this is it. You know, badass older samurai dude, covered in scars, holding a sword. Yeah, no. No, he's what's the best term for me to put this here? Oh, I know. He's a dork. He is a dork. Short dude, buck teeth, he's got a top knot, he's got a crown. He's a shogun, but I guess he wants to just add it on even more that I'm royalty. Throws a crown on him, really comically oversized head, kind of the same thing with Raizo, but even more goofy. And he's got like a snidely whiplash mustache, and he's just like, I'm the shogun of the country, ladies and gentlemen! I am awesome! I am Kurozumi Orochi! Yay! That's his character! That's his fucking character! I'm like, okay. And everyone in the banquet hall is like, oh, Shogun, we love you! That's so great! We could totally dunk on you right now, but totally, you're awesome! So that's it. That's the reveal of the dude. So, you know, I can't say I wasn't expecting this possibility, considering everything leading up to this. You know, Oda seemed to kind of hint at the last few chapters, like, yeah, he's not the biggity badass you think he is. Now, how hilarious would it be if he flips the script? Because there's two ways to look at this. Back when he was negotiating with the CP0, when we only see him in silhouette, we see his eyes, and he's really serious. He's like, do not mess with my country. And then we see him in his goofy persona here. Now, you might think that's setting up the joke, like Oda wants to make us think like he's really powerful, and then here we see him as a goofball. Or it might be the opposite, where Oda's like, I'm going to set him up as a goofball, but that serious demeanor, he actually is kind of a badass if you fight him. Who knows? I don't know. But that's the character we get. You know, goofy, bucktooth guy, top knot crown, and just acting like he's the king of the world because, you know, from his perspective, he kind of is. You know, he even said it himself. You know, Wano is self-sufficient. It's my own private land. I'm basically God here, and the only thing that I could possibly want is just more power. But right now, everything is just going peachy keen on River Orochi. So the last scene is cutting back to one of the center streets in the Flower Capital, the place where Sanji had his soba stand. Remember, he beat the crap out of the Yakuza. The Yakuza ran back over to their master, and he's like, I'm going to the banquet. I don't have time to deal with this. Call Queen. Have him send some of his men over. So this is where we find out exactly what happens when the low-ranking members of the Yakuza are not good enough, okay? So you see Law there. Oh man, I forgot to invite Law Tekking to this. I'm sure he'll be okay with it. Law only appears in one panel. So he whispers over to Sanji. Law is right next to Sanji. He's like, hey Sanji, yeah, we gotta get out of here. Come on, we have to go. And Sanji's like, why do I have to go? They're probably gonna send some strong fighters, but I can deal with it. Don't worry, it's fine. And Law's like, oh no. That's not what I'm talking about. These people are strong, sure, but they also know who we are. They've seen us before, so this isn't good for us to be here. So they kind of sneak off. Everybody in the street starts freaking out and running around because they're like, the flying fighters are here. So apparently there are, like, this is kind of like, I'm assuming the elite guard of Wano, of Orochi, or maybe at least, you know, one of the 6 strongest headliners in Kaido's crew. That's who they are, okay? The 6 strongest. We only get introduced to 2 of them right here. Now, I don't know how many headliners there are, because we know there were 3 that were working under Jack. Actually, we know there were 4 that were directly under Jack, because we had Sheepshead back at Zoe, then we had Speed, Hold'em, and Hawkins. Okay, now, does that mean that every single Calamity has 4 headliners working under them, or is there more than that? We don't know, but there's 6 of them that are apparently the strongest, so I'm going to assume there's at least way more than 6. You know, it wouldn't make a lot of sense if it's like, there are 8 headliners total. 6 of them are the most badass. That'd be like, okay, that's kind of weird. If there were like, I'd say 20 headliners, or even like 15 headliners, and then like, okay, there's the top 6. Okay, I go with that. But anyway, 2 of them arrive at the scene to kind of like, they were sent by Queen to go deal with the soba stand owner, who is Sanji, or Sangoro. One of them is X-Drake, who arrives in his hybrid form. We haven't seen that before. And then we have another one named Page 1. That's literally his name, Page 1. I don't know if that's a translation issue, but just Page 1, okay. Just take out your favorite book, flip to page 1, and pick out a name that's on the first page, and that's his name. Just roll with that. But yeah, so we already know that Drake has the power of an ancient zone that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. It was not a Tyrannosaurus Rex, though. It kind of, I'm going to try that word again. Tyrannosaurus Rex, okay. It wasn't one of those. I know it looks like one at first glance, and a lot of people called it the T-Rex fruit, and the T-Rex is kind of regarded by many as like the most famous out of all the dinosaurs. It wasn't the largest or the most, you know, powerful or anything, but, you know, Jurassic Park, that's why it was so well known. It's the T-Rex, right? I'm glad, I mean, Oda could have went out and said, oh yeah, he's a T-Rex, and I don't think, I mean, there's a few inconsistencies with it, like the number of, I think, fingers or talons that the, you know, T-Rex had was not equal to the number that Drake transformed into, but that's not like a huge deal for me. I'm not going to get too mad about that. But no, Oda actually specifies he is not a T-Rex. He has the power of the Allosaurus, right? It's the, no, just the Allosaurus. Okay, just the Allosaurus. And then Page 1 has the power of the Spinosaur. And if you've seen Jurassic Park 3, which wasn't that great, you still got a pretty cool scene with the Spinosaur, who is like a even mega kind of version of the T-Rex, like even stronger than the T-Rex, right? Up until Jurassic World. Okay, but yeah, my point is, 2 really badass carnivorous or scavenger dinosaurs, really large giant lizards with sharp teeth and claws. That's all you need to know, all right? Call them a carnivore or a scavenger or whatever the hell they were, doesn't matter. Giant lizard with sharp teeth, run. That is the point, okay. And we also get, we end out here finding out the names of their fruit. Hawkins is here as well, and Hawkins is just kind of running across them. You could tell that Drake and Hawkins aren't, like, they aren't aren't under the same calamity. Drake is definitely under Queen, and then Hawkins is under Jack, so it's like a lower management kind of thing. And Hawkins brings up, it's like, I thought you have something more important to hunt than this mission, eh, Drake? Implying there's something else going on with Drake, you know, something more important than just roughing up a soba owner, you know, like some guy selling noodles, you know, who cares about that? But yeah, Hawkins is there and having a conversation with Drake. That's not a big deal. But now we cut over to their devil fruits, and they both happen to have the power of the ancient versions of the dragon fruit. Yep. Page 1 has the dragon fruit model Spinosaur, and Drake has the power of the dragon fruit model Allosaur. There's way too many dragons. Why are there so many dragons? The brochure only said there'd be a few dragons. This is a terrible Wano country vacation. Oh man, they have hot springs. Guys, we should go. Wano trip, it's on me. But no, yeah, I'm starting to notice a theme here. Okay, alright. Is that what we're gonna do, Oda? Is that what we're doing? Just, you know, we're in Wano. It's the country based on feudal Japan. You got Kaido as a dragon. Orochi is something similar to a dragon. You got Drake, who has the power of an ancient dragon. You got Page 1, who's the power of an ancient dragon. Are we just doing dragons? Okay, fine. Fine. Just Oprah with it. I don't care. You know, just go crazy. Dragons. Everybody's a dragon. You know what? You can never have too many dragons. Never. Alright? I don't care. You could have literally had every single headliner have the power of a dragon fruit. Hell, you could have retconned Hawkins to show up with a dragon fruit. Like, I know I was able to turn into a straw man back at Sabaody, but I could turn into a dragon now. I'd be like, you know what, Oda? I'm cool with it. It's fine. Hawkins might make a straw dragon. He could, you know, he probably could make anything out of his straw if he wanted to. Alright, so, I mean, I get where you're going with that. I mean, dragons are basically lizards, and if you want to go with an ancient lizard, I think the thing that'll pop into most of our heads are the dinosaurs. So, alright, fine, whatever. I can imagine Kaido, and he's just, like, in his chair in Onigashima, and he's like, okay, we gotta recruit every single dragon fruit user in the world, and he made that his mission in between drinking breaks. He's like, so, sir, X-Drake, who has the power of a dinosaur fruit, attacked one of our islands. He's like, recruit him immediately. It'd be funny if he was about to execute Drake, and he's like, you know, Kaido picks up his big club, like, right about to smack Drake on side of the head. He's like, you know, any last words? And then Drake just turns into a dragon or a dinosaur or Allosaur or whatever, and Kaido's like, make him a headliner! Make him a headliner immediately! All dragon crew! Okay. Alright, well anyway, this was a really hype chapter. I don't even care that Orochi turned out to be kind of a Dorcas Malorcas. It was cool to finally see him, and we're moving the plot along quite steadily. I'm interested in seeing what the rest of this banquet will entail, if we're going to focus on the banquet at all, because we got Komurasaki there, Robin is there, so anything that happens at the banquet, She's has intel on. Frankie, not sure what he's going to do, probably team up with Brook or Usopp or Chopper or somebody to, you know, help out. Kinemon and Inarashi's group are probably going to stumble upon the blueprints at some point. Shutenmaru is going to get hunted by Kaido's crew because they think that he stole all this food, and they're going to have to, like, basically strong-arm them into becoming part of the cause. So you could see where everything's going and kind of lining up here. There's still some issues to worry about. We still got to bust, you know, Luffy and Kid out of the slammer. We still got to find Denjiro and Kawamatsu, but everything's falling together for the invasion, and it's mentioned it's the opening ceremony for the Fire Festival that's in 1 week. So we're getting there. Okay then. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I really love this chapter. I really love seeing Drake's Devil Fruit revealed finally. We got to see his hybrid form. Looks pretty badass. So yeah, moving on to 2019, ladies and gentlemen. Tekking101 signing out. I'll also be doing the same thing I do every year, and I'll be doing a New Year's Eve live stream. That'll be tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know over on my Twitter, like, when exactly it's going to be, or I might upload, like, a short video or something. But yeah, we usually do the New Year's live stream every year. So come on by and get drunk, and let's ring in the new year. Sun out!